First and foremost, it's great to be in Maryborough and particularly at Maryborough and District Health Service. Can I acknowledge all the staff here who do such an amazing job and have been through so much in recent years. This is just an outstanding example of what rural and regional health is all about. People who live in a local community supporting their friends and neighbours to be healthy, to be fit and have what they need, particularly in some of their most difficult moments. To Nicola Allen as the CEO, it's great to see you again. I was here in March to officially open the facility that we're in and to be able to drive past that now cleared vacant block where the new $100 million redeveloped Maryborough and District Health Service buildings will go over the next couple of years is fantastic. Great for jobs and really significant, really important for the future of this health service and all of those families and communities and indeed businesses who rely upon this. This is the biggest employer in this town and its future is secure under our Labor government. Now the reason we've come here today, this facility, 20 beds, really critically important accommodation for students and for staff who are moving through on placement at the Maryborough and District Health Service. Razi is here and she's going to tell her story a little bit later on. She's at Charles Sturt University. She's in her final placement, which will finish in late October this year. She'll be a qualified radiographer when she's finished. We know that medical imaging is so critical to modern care. She's staying here and will have stayed here over the length of her final placement for a number of months. That means she's not having to find a rental property. She's not essentially squeezing out a local who needs that rental property. And one of the barriers to recruitment, one of the barriers to having the staff you need when you need them, has been basically removed by the $4 million investment we made here. There's about 200, or more than 200 staff have come through these 20 rooms, this wonderful purpose-built facility. So that's a couple of hundred people who would otherwise perhaps not been able to come here and do a placement, not treat patients and provide care, learn their skills and get that great introduction to rural and regional health. And we know if you train in the regions, you finish up working in the regions, or indeed those people would have had to make the local rental market even tighter, even tougher, especially for locals. So yesterday we made some announcements, and obviously very disappointing not to be able to proceed with the 2026 Commonwealth Games, and there's been a lot of people expressing their disappointment over the last 24 hours. The key point here is we're not just about making easy decisions or popular decisions. You've got to do what's right, and at $6-7 billion, that event just doesn't stack up. What, however, is important, and what is a profound investment in the future of rural and regional Victoria, is to get on and deliver each and every one of the legacy items and indeed go beyond what was going to be the legacy benefits from the Commonwealth Games. That's why today we're delighted to be here to go through a bit more detail some of the elements of that $2 billion package from yesterday. Now, as you know, we announced $1 billion for at least 1,300 brand new, over and above the big housing build, so extra social and affordable houses right across regional Victoria, not just in the 4 hub locations, but those houses and the benefit that comes from the security of additional supply, downward pressure on prices, somewhere to live, will be shared right across regional Victoria. On top of that, we're also today very pleased to be able to inform you that there will be a $150 million worker accommodation fund as well to build facilities just like this one. So often I have business leaders and others who operate tourism and a whole range of other industries operate in the tourism and many other industry sectors across regional Victoria who come to me and talk about the fact they've got plenty of customers, they've got really strong prospects for the future, but finding staff is hard, and one of the biggest barriers to finding staff is somewhere to put them. So this package of $150 million, where we'll consult with industry, big employers and small, councils, lots of other stakeholders across regional Victoria to make sure that we get the project guidelines right. It'll be matching, so it won't just be $150 million of total spend, it'll be much more than that. We'll leverage that up to be much more than $150 million worth of housing, and that'll mean many hundreds, perhaps thousands of workers at really busy times and indeed throughout the year, will have somewhere to stay, somewhere to locate themselves, so that those businesses are not held back from growing, those communities are not held back from growing. It's something that people have called for, and we are directly responding to that. And to think that that is, again, real legacy benefits from that, that is critically important now and will continue to pay dividends over a long period of time. I would just make one point though. It's very important today that Deborah Di Natale from the Council of Homeless is here today, and we're very grateful not just for the fact she's here, but for the work that she does advocating on behalf of those who have, you know, real challenges in their life, people who have very little power in that sense, people who are vulnerable. She and so many others in that sector do amazing work. We want to sit down and work with the not-for-profit sector and see whether there might be a portion of that $150 million fund that is not a matching fund, because I think there are many organisations that wouldn't necessarily have the balance sheet to be able to co-fund worker housing, but we know that the community sector needs staff just like the tourism sector, manufacturing, the list goes on and on. So we want to sit down in good faith and work with that not-for-profit, non-government sector about some of the worker accommodation needs that they have. So this package, and we're not waiting obviously until the Games occur in 2026, because they're not occurring, we're able to push on and deliver that legacy and begin that work right now. But the centrepiece of this package is somewhere to live and somewhere to stay, because there's also a tourism infrastructure element to this as well, and a grant round, similar to programs we've run in the past, and we'll have more to say about this later in the week, where those who provide experiences, those who provide people with absolutely amazing and second to none tourism experiences, they need to have more and more accommodation options for their guests as well. So somewhere to live, somewhere to stay, not just from a social and affordable housing point of view, not just from a worker point of view, and no business can grow unless they've got the staff they need, and accommodation's a big part of that, but also a really substantial package around tourism and building up the infrastructure, particularly somewhere for people to be able to visit, and an expanded offering. That's really important, not just for a short period of time, that's enduring. Now, there are other elements to this package that we've got a bit more detail for, and I'm going to hand over to the Minister for Regional Development to talk a little bit more about elements of this package, and then I think the Deputy Premier is going to have something to say, and then we're happy to take any questions that you might want to hear from Deb about what this might mean for those who are vulnerable. 1,300 homes, and I think we can leverage that up higher, is a really significant boost. That's like another big housing build in regional Victoria. That's about 1.2. This is $1 billion plus this $150 million worker accommodation fund, which is so important, whether it be in health, in tourism, in manufacturing, in education, in every sector. Every single business is held back if they can't find staff, and one of the biggest challenges in finding staff is providing them with somewhere to live. And the worst thing you want is a situation where perhaps the worker gets to come to town and grow the business, but locals can't find a rental property because those properties are taken up, and that market is made even tougher by workers coming into a local community, whether it be for a short time or indeed permanently. This is the best way forward. Get on, deliver the legacy from the original budget that's sitting there waiting to be invested, and I can't think of a better way to invest that than in housing, housing and more housing. It is such a critical issue, not just in regional Victoria, but everywhere. And I wouldn't want to think that people see this issue as just a metropolitan issue. It isn't. It's a big issue in regional Victoria as well, and that's why we're wasting no time to get on and get those houses built.